Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to a different world podcast. The show where we thrive on having disruptive conversations about politics, stuff about entrepreneurship, sex, religion, and everything else in between. I'm your host, Kareem. Along next side to the beautiful
Angelina Williams. I'm here. You're ready for it.
And we're here both to educate and entertain. And as part of our continuing our series for Black History Month and beyond, we started a series called Hidden Figures, where we like to highlight Black Canadians that are basically blazing the trails in their career, where there are a few Black faces. So without further ado, I'm very excited to introduce a childhood friend, person I used to play ball with back in the day, who's now a cardiologist here in the city of Toronto. So welcome, Dr. Kareem Morant. And let me pull up a little applause for you as well. Got to hook you up. Yeah, so Dr. Morant.
You can call me Kareem.
Just Kareem?
It's all good. Only Dr. Morant to my patients.
So let's talk about this. Tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into being a cardiologist.
Yeah, so I grew up in Mississauga, as you know.
Yeah.
Back in the day, playing a lot of basketball and stuff like that. My parents are Jamaican. They came here in the late 70s.
I wish I had some, more fire. Some
Exactly. Early 80s. And I grew up in Mississauga, same like you, just playing basketball, doing standard stuff. And about high school, I sort of said, you know what, I want to do this medicine thing.
Yeah.
And then went to undergrad in London, Ontario, and went across Ontario doing my training and ended up in Toronto for cardiology fellowship. Yeah. And then went to the States for a year and then now practicing in the city as a cardiologist. So enjoying it. Yeah.
Nice.
That's
very
awesome.
Own Dr. Burke in the house for my Grey's Anatomy class.
There you go. So you said in high school, you said, I want to do this medicine thing. So let's scale that back and really define that moment. What was that moment where you're like, aha, this is what I want to do?
Someone asked me about that the other day. It's a funny story. Like, those tests that you do to see, what your aptitudes are.
Myers-Briggs or whatever?
Yeah, and it said, you should be a family doctor. I'm like, okay, I didn't think anything about it. And I was playing basketball at the time. I thought, man, I'm going to do this basketball thing. I'm going to be a basketball player. I'm like, only 6 feet, can't jump, as you know. And then I said, okay, I looked into it more. I said, this is interesting. And then I realized that a lot of the skills that I had in basketball as a team leader, being determined, all of that, you could really use in medicine. Yeah. And I remember actually one of my teachers, I used to do well in science. She's like, you should be a dentist. And I said, my teeth were jacked up. I can't be a dentist. So anyways, I said, medicine is what I want to do. And I sort of became more practical about the thing, realizing that basketball is not going to pay the bills at the end of the day. Yeah. And I said, I'm going to do medicine and go from there. So it sort of just was a realization that a lot of the skills I had in sports, I could use in medicine.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about moments of difficulty, because part of the one of the things we like to discover on this podcast is the transition to success, right? Going through the hurdles, the difficult times. So in moments of difficulty, who do you draw upon for inspiration? Who's that figure for you? Who do you try to channel for that?
I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of close friends. That really have been behind me from day one. Yeah. They've known me from I was just a young kid in high school, and they've always pushed me forward and encouraged me. Yeah. But I think the one person I think of, or two people I would say, is my parents. Yeah. I'm very fortunate. I have very loving, caring parents that have been with me from day one. Yeah. And anytime there's a problem or there's a struggle, not getting into medical school, being rejected from medical school, being waitlisted for medical school. I had one of those that happened to me, and waiting a whole summer on the wait list, potentially on the cusp of getting in. Yeah. And my parents were behind me all the way, so that was very helpful. And I would say that they're the people that really pushed me forward.
Awesome. So you say you were rejected from medical school. Yeah. How many times, if you don't mind me asking?
Actually, it would be, if you count each school separately.
Depends on how you want to look at it.
No, I tried once after my third year of university, which was a bit early, but I tried then. I didn't get in. That was the time I got waitlisted. And then my second time around, after my fourth year of university, I got in.
Yeah.
But only had one interview in University of Ottawa actually, and I had some interviews in the States. I was thinking about going to the U.S. as a backup, and I got into University of Ottawa.
Awesome.
I was fortunate.
That's amazing.
You kept on moving even though it was a little bit. I think sometimes people think it's going to be an easy ride.
Yeah, I was as a kid and adolescent. I was very determined, and I always saw A, B, C, D, not realizing that maybe you got to go A to Z to X to come back to C. And that's been my path. I've not necessarily gotten my first choices. I wanted to stay in Toronto for my training. It didn't work out that way. I ended up here, but it's been a path, been a journey.
You mentioned that your parents are like an inspiration or encouragement for you, and you were talking before, and you just said, my dad is a PhD holder as well. How much of that do you think influenced you getting into medicine as opposed to going the route of basketball or just any other career?
Oh, it's big. I mean, growing up and then, when you're young and someone says, well, what do you want to be? And I said, I want to be a basketball. And my dad would be, that's rubbish.
That's such a Jamaican word.
Very Jamaican.
Right? And I was my mom's like, Lincoln, just calm down. Like, you can't dream of it. He would squash
mom
that out,
being
right?
mom,
Exactly. My mom was a softie. So he was always like, education is paramount. I did well, but like, even if I came home with 95 on a test, it was like, what happened to the other 5%? And it's funny, Jamaican parents, at least what I've seen, they don't say they're proud of me that often, but I know they're proud. But they
like,
were,
I feed you.
Exactly,
so,
right? Science he was proud of me. So that was, you just knew. You didn't have to say it, but you knew education and was the way to succeed, and that was the most important thing. And discipline, and just focusing yourself on a goal and achieving it was important. And I was always saying before, just knowing that, if someone had done it before you, it's possible. That was my dad's biggest thing, and a lot of the lessons I still carry with me today.
Awesome, that's great.
All right, our very own Dr. Burke, aka Dr. Kareem, in the house.
Dr. Kareem, do you question so I when I was in school, there's a guy that I know that wanted to pursue medicine, and he's like, yo, I'm going to be a doctor. That's so different. I'm going to wear Air Force Ones with my white coat, Jordans. Do you have your own little something to distinguish you, to make you a little,
I do. I have a good big shoe collection. My wife hates it, and I do have my J's and all that. But I try to keep it on the low a little bit, because we all go through it when you're in the corporate world or whatever it is. You're shy about showing who you may be. So usually I will let people they'll know me for a while, and then
you bust it out.
Maybe a few months later, they're like, whoa, this guy wears J's, on call with. I would probably wear it on call with scrubs or whatever. So if you're meeting me first, you might not know that. Yeah.
Cool.
So with respects to, being one of few, as you know, what impact do you think having diversity in the medical industry would have for our community?
Oh, wow. That's a big question now. I was thinking about that. I mean, it's on many levels, it's so important to have diversity and to be represented in the medical field. And I think if you think about research, research funding for issues or diseases that predominantly affect Black people, like sickle cell or hypertension, when you're trying to get attention and get money for that, it's very difficult if you don't have people at the table to represent you and to advocate for you and that care for. And it's not necessarily a malicious thing. It's not a conscious thing. It's often a subconscious thing that I've seen. And then if you think about the patient-doctor level, I mean, a patient-doctor relationship is built on trust. And it's not to say you can't trust someone from another race, but definitely I can see it when I see a young Black male come in and they say, this is the first time I've ever seen a Black doctor. There's a connection. And, being Afro-Caribbean and, seeing people from the Caribbean, Jamaican people, older Jamaican people, that's like I'm treating my dad or my uncle or my aunt.
It's like family.
So family. So I understand where they're coming from. I understand their patois. I understand many people don't like medications, why they don't like medications.
Got it.
So I find when I talk with other physicians or you see the patient interactions, even being a resident or a younger medical student, it's different.
Right, for sure.
So it affects it on many levels.
Yeah. I just think about, again, you being a cardiologist, and we talk about, heart disease in our community specifically. And sometimes there is a resistance to, that talking head, those, the medical board, and they seem very separate from us. Whereas I think that sometimes because you are a Black Canadian from West Indian heritage, it feels a little bit more like a family member saying to you, listen, like, here's what it is.
Yeah, and I have that conversation with many.
All that fried dumpling and jerk chicken and maybe cut back a little bit.
And salt, like, salt is not good for you, Like, and I say that to my patients. I say, like, listen, and you have to remember, a lot of the medications I give to people don't make people feel better, right? If you have hypertension, I give you medication, I'd be lying to you to say that's going to make you feel better. This is a drug or a medication I'm giving to prevent you from having a heart attack or stroke 5 years, 10 years, etc. So you have to trust me. You have to trust that what I'm doing is in your best interest. I'm not giving this because I'm making money off of this or because some drug board says I should. I'm doing this because I want to help you. So that's one small example. I think it's very useful.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. So let's talk about representation. Do you feel that the reason why there aren't many young Black med students, do you feel that's more of a cultural thing, or do you think it's more of being systematic, or do you think it's like a combination of both?
Oh, it's a huge combination. That's a challenging question. I think there's many factors. I think when you look at getting into medical school, just take that as a starting point. I mean, the numbers it's crazy how competitive it is. And it's only getting more competitive as you see in life. Everything gets more competitive.
Right.
And if you only have a few people applying, a small number of people applying who are just as good as other people, some people get through. I think I got through partly because of, my work ethic, but also because of luck.
Right.
So to me, when you have a few number of people applying, then a few people get through for luck, and then those people maybe don't have the means to continue trying, to have that delayed gratification, to put off things and do a master's in between, and then they choose something else. So that's a part of it. And then I think, definitely in the years of my time, there wasn't a focus on improving diversity. And only recently now you're seeing it. For example, University of Toronto, I commend them. They're looking at improving diversity, particularly with Black applicants.
Right.
So it's a combination of getting the people to apply, and then also noticing that these people that are applying are just as good as other people and should be getting through as well, because it's important, as we mentioned before, about improving the care for patients.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I know we were talking off camera, and we're talking about like the idea that our culture is we're all Jamaican, but we have a lot of friends from Africa across the continent, and so seeing doctors and engineers and seeing Black people in those spaces is quite common. But the being able to take those skills and implement them here in Canada is a little bit different or difficult.
Right.
And I sometimes think that has a lot to play with the lack of numbers as well. It's not like there's not a whole lot of Black doctors in the world, but the fact that we represent only 2% of the population, and on top of that, the doctors that are coming here just can't seem to get their feet planted on the ground.
As we had talked about before, I think when you look at the Black population in Canada, we're a young population. So those who may have trained elsewhere, they came here and then weren't able to practice whatever they had chosen to do. That's a factor. And then it takes time, it takes generations of children to get through, this glass ceiling that we often experience. So I think it's a unique time in Toronto and Canada. We are a growing population in terms of the Black population, Black community. We're becoming stronger, more economically stronger. And I think also we're getting more attention to the issues, the fact that we're not represented in law or politics and medicine. And I think in the generations to come, I think it's going to improve. I'm hopeful it will improve.
That's a good point, because I always said, in recent years, there's been this huge focus on, racism and diversity and so on and so forth. I always felt like the protests are cool. They have their place, but I always felt like the way for us to retaliate, if I can use that word, is for us to gain representation in these different sectors like politics, like real estate, like medicine, even media. And I feel like media, even though people can downplay like the whole like marketing thing and whatever, because a lot of us like occupy occupations in those spaces, I feel like being able to control or at least influence the narrative is a huge part.
Yeah.
Right. If I'm in a position, at XYZ media company and there's a big campaign and I have a choice or I have the opportunity to influence why you should choose subject A over subject B, that could have a drastic impact on some kids somewhere in some community across the country.
Right.
So I just feel like we need to occupy a lot of different spaces in order to move the community forward.
Well, for sure. Absolutely. I want to actually touch on that, and I have another question for you. But I think about things like, you remember when we were in school and they gave us the diet charts, right? And it's very focused on Eurocentric Western
Oh, for sure.
Ideals in terms of what's good for these types of bodies and what have you. And I just feel like, so, if you are not part of this community, or if you're an immigrant to this community, a lot of these things are like foreign to you. Like, we don't eat that. That's not part of our, so by having diversity in those spaces, you could say, okay, well, yeah, let's kind of broaden a little bit and include things that kind of more relatable to
certain cultures. Yeah.
But talking about your many hardships in terms of getting to where you are, what is something that you can tell young people that are looking at you and or just even looking at entering into that field, and it feels so impossible to them?
That's a tough one. I think I did a presentation for some Black students, Black future physicians at the University of Scarborough recently, and I gave a few tips. And I think one is, getting your foundation, your network of people that will support you. You don't choose your family, but you do choose your friends.
True.
And I've been very fortunate to have very strong friends that support me, but also push me to be better. And not all of them are in medicine. Many, they're actually in teaching and oil selling and all sorts of things, but they always push me, right? They know that what I can be, and they're always there to push me. And I would say too, as well, I think just you have to have a focus on the long game. It's so hard because, many people looked at me when I said I wanted to do medicine when I was just getting into university. Said, Kareem, it's hard, right? It's going to be a long road. You sure you want to do it?
Right.
And 8 years plus 8 years.
Yeah, I know.
It's like after medical, sometimes I think about it, it's like after high school, I did 15 plus years of school. It's straight through, right?
Yeah.
And it's a long road, but I do think it's worth it. And that's why I think, it helped me to plan A, B, C, D all along the way. And it helped me to sacrifice along the way because I knew what the end was. It's hard to sacrifice if you don't know what the end goal is.
Right.
And if you are not able to sort of, again, focus on the delayed gratification.
Right.
Put aside all those things that, had many friends doing many fun things,
Yeah.
etc. While I was still going on. Right?
Yeah.
People started their jobs early. People
Right.
got houses.
Right.
While I was still training and had a lot of debt.
Right.
So focusing on that and knowing that you can do it, and there's, once you get into medical school, things become easier. Banks give you loans, all those sorts of things. People don't necessarily realize that shouldn't be a deterrent. The fact that you maybe don't have the means money-wise.
Right. And I think that's such an important message you just delivered, focusing on the end goal. And I feel like, the kids coming up now in high school have it a little bit more challenging in the sense that with social media, although a gift in its own right, is a curse because it's all about the short-term gratification, right? You're seeing your friends go on vacation and you're in med school or you're studying for law school. You got yourself locked in a room for 2 months because you're studying for this test, and your friends are partying. They're in Cabo, they're in here, and you're just like, did I make the right choice? You know what I mean? But I think that's a great point. Focus on the long goal.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Cool, y'all. So I know you wanted me to call you Kareem, but I'm going to call you Dr. Morant anyways. Again, part of this, the reason for this particular episode is centered around Black History Month and beyond, and we want to focus on Black Canadians that are, operating in spaces where there are very few Black faces, hence why we call this series Hidden Figures. Yeah. So my question is to you, one, do you consider yourself a hidden figure, and why?
I thought about that. I mean, I don't think I'm a hidden figure per se, because when you think of hidden figure, you think of the movie and the fact that the females in the movie were sort of suppressed in terms of and not given credit. And I wouldn't say that, and it also sort of has a connotation that as if I want to be noticed or I want praise. I think I thought back, it's sort of like you're not valued, or you're sort of less valued per se, and or not as noticed. Maybe that is, I'm a less noticed figure. Maybe let's put it that way.
Okay, that's fair.
That way. And I think it's because when you look at it, you look at people who are making the decisions, for when you get into medical school, or making a decision when you get into residency, making a decision when you get a job in a hospital. Sometimes you don't feel like you're noticed because the things that you do are less valued, or you don't necessarily fit in per se. I mean, many of the things in society, when you're talking about jobs, high-paying jobs, is who you know, can you rub shoulders, can you play golf, can you do this or that, can you drink scotch with that? Those sorts of things, right?
I love all things I love.
She's like, yep. And her hair was like, ding,
check,
ding.
Check.
But you realize, when you reflect, you say, like, why are some people getting further ahead than I am? And you say, okay, well, this is the way it is, and I hope it changes. I'm going to work hard to hope that it changes. But you just realize that some things are not fair. And I look back and I think about what my dad used to say, and he said, you got to work harder than everybody else. Unfortunately, this is the way it is. We came to Canada, we put you here. This is the way it is.
The Black immigrants mantra.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I've realized.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Morant, again, thank you for coming on the podcast, A Different World. So for our listeners that were deeply inspired by your message, where can they find you?
I don't do the social media thing. It's sort of taboo in the medical field, but I am at Twitter. So I think it's at KMorant34 or something like that. But I'm practicing in Scarborough right now, looking at making a move in Toronto as well. But I'll be in Toronto anywhere practicing cardiology.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for coming through. This has been great.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you. Appreciate you having me and inviting me. Yeah,
absolutely. And for all the listeners out there and the people watching on YouTube, make sure to follow us on ADW_podcast on Instagram, on Twitter, Different World Podcast on YouTube. Make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, all the above. And that concludes this episode.
Now we out.
Peace and love. That's it.
Thank you.